Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. This is the show, if you're first time listening, it's the show where we teach you how to naturally get well and stay well, because that's my little catchphrase. Naturally, I want to get you well and keep you well. Get a little play on words there. And today we're going to talk about the worst foods that you can eat if you're trying to lose weight. Because people come to me all the time with nutrition questions and health questions, of course. And they say, Dr. Joe, I want to lose weight. Okay. And I'll say, well, you got to cut out what I call the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. And of course, they look at me and go, nah, if I could do that or not. Well, you can do it. That's the whole thing. Is I don't know if I can do that. Well, of course you can. No one's shoving food down your throat. You have to decide, I'm going to eat this or not eat this. So you choose not to do it. It might be challenging because you're addicted to sugar and bad foods. You might like the bad foods, but there's no reason why you can't do it. You just have to decide that you want to do it. So now, let's face it, grocery stores, convenience stores, school lunchrooms, vending machines, they're full of chemicals and sugar-laced foods that you shouldn't be eating anyway. And it's no surprise that that makes up a large portion of a lot of people's diets. Now, I'm asked all the time, what are the worst? So that's what we're going to talk about today, the worst of the worst, not necessarily just for your health, but specifically for weight loss. So the worst foods, there's no specific order. We just kind of go through them. Now, all the foods we're going to talk about today are high acid-producing foods. Now, when you put acid in your body, it needs to be eliminated as soon as possible. Acids create inflammation. They throw off your hormone balance. They bog down what's called your lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is your drainage system. It's your sewer. It kind of flushes out all the waste products. It congests your liver, among other things. It's pretty important to keep your body slightly alkaline, not acidic. And when you can do that, you really have the opportunity to restore normal health. So the bad foods, most of the bad foods are acidic. Most of the good foods are not, which makes life real simple, doesn't it? So let's start in no particular order. Ice cream. I know you're shocked. Yeah, I'm really surprised that that's on the list. But today's ice cream is full of a lot of junk that wasn't there years ago. Now, I remember being a kid, and we used to make ice cream sometimes, and it was basically milk and sugar, and you kind of mix it together, and you'd freeze it, and you'd throw some cream in there, and then you were pretty good. But now, look at the ingredients, and that's a real simple thing you can do. Is just look at the ingredients of any food you're eating. It should have, I would say, if it has more than 6 ingredients, you probably don't want to eat it anyway. But look at the ingredients. You're looking at trans fat. You're looking at chemicals, dyes, additives, artificial flavors, artificial colors. A lot of these chemicals have been proven to be what's called neurotoxins. Now, a neurotoxin is a chemical that adversely affects your brain and your nervous system. Neuro meaning nerve, toxin meaning toxin. Now, I'm a chiropractor. If you're just tuning in, I'm board certified in chiropractic. I'm board certified in orthopedics, board certified in pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, retired dietitian, award-winning author. Been in practice for 32 years now. And this show is heard coast to coast and around the world because nice people like you tell their friends about it, and other stations around the country pick us up. So we're heard everywhere. And so these credentials qualify me to give you this information because I've been treating patients almost every day for 32 years. So I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And, full disclosure, I used to be fat. I have stretch marks on my chest, the back of my legs. So I totally get that whole eating thing. But there's a difference. I was fat back in the 60s and 70s, well, probably 70s, I guess. Now we're looking at a lot of chemicals and hormones and things that disrupt the function of your body and your nervous system. And if the nervous system isn't working, you can't be healthy. It's impossible. Patients come in sometimes and I'll take an x-ray of them and I'll see the bones are out of place. And I'll put the x-ray up and I'll say, well, Bob, your spine is twisted here. And he says, yeah, but it doesn't hurt. And I say, yeah, but because it's out of alignment, it's going to cause the discs to wear out. That will cause arthritis. That's what arthritis is, osteoarthritis. That will pinch the nerves. Nerves control organs. It will happen, and eventually it's going to hurt. Yeah, but it doesn't hurt now. I understand that. But if you do this, it's like saying, well, I'm not going to change the oil in my car until the engine seizes. And for some reason, we treat our cars a lot better than we treat our bodies. So you think you can take a toxic chemical like commercial ice cream and put it in your body and think, well, there's going to be no adverse effects. It tastes good and I don't care and I like it. Okay, I don't argue. You're right. It does taste good. I remember it tastes good. So your brains have to maintain a delicate balance to maintain what's called a metabolic process. So if a substance interferes or throws the balance out of whack, it's going to cause problems. Now, of course, there are better choices and worse choices when it comes to things like ice cream, and it's going to affect your weight and it's going to affect your health. Now, one thing that if you have to have ice cream, and you shouldn't, but if you do, I want you to consider something like coconut milk ice cream, almond milk ice cream. Now, I'm going to tell you this about coconut milk ice cream. Don't eat it. Because I remember the first time I had it, and it was just off the chart. It was so good. So much better than regular ice cream. Now, it's still loaded with sugar, and sugar's bad. So I'm not giving you permission to do this. But at least try to get away from the dairy products, because the dairy products' number one cause of allergic reactions is dairy. Then the sugar's bad for you. Then the chemicals are bad for you. And it's funny because years ago, I still don't eat ice cream because of the sugar content. But now I'm seeing a lot of major grocery store chains making dairy-free ice creams. And the reason is people like you have demanded them. And the demand is there. Organic food sales are increasing. Grocery stores love organic foods because there's a higher profit margin. You're seeing organic fast foods, if you will. You're seeing frozen choices, natural plant-based foods. So you're seeing the change out there, folks. And it's because it works. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there. And so you can help that out. Now, not saying eat a lot of sugar, but if you have to have it, there are other options, which is kind of nice. Simple thing you can do is take some frozen bananas and some frozen berries, put it in a food processor, add a little, almond milk or coconut milk, and whip it up, and you got your own ice cream there. Now, what I do, if I want to treat, I'll add Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source to that. And if you've never heard me talk about that, those are two supplements. I created them a long time ago, and they are just spectacular. And those are on my website, too, drjoeesposito.com. So, folks, got to go to a break. I'm going to open up the phone lines. If you have a healthcare question, give us a call. 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DR-JOE. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. I am so glad that you're here. I am Dr. Joe, and this is a show that's going to turn your health around. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're listening to the right guy, which is me, because we're going to teach you things that you can do all day, every day to help get well and stay well. So what we're talking about today are the worst foods you can eat if you're trying to lose weight. And we talked about ice cream. Again, no specific order. This one is a bad one for me because I know if I do this, I put on weight. Like I think just looking at the food, I put on weight. And those are corn chips. Anybody with me on this? And especially since the advent of genetically modified food, most corn that we eat is damaged. It's what they call frankenfood because the corn is one of the most genetically modified foods grown. Now, when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember, when I was your age, we used to go to the peddler. I don't know if you remember that. I'm from Hoboken, New Jersey. If you can remember back that far, the peddler would come along and he'd have a big truck and you'd have the fruits and the vegetables on the back of the truck and he'd yell up the street and you'd come out and whatever you wanted, he'd weigh it and you pay him and you take it down. But if there was corn, we'd always open up the corn a little bit and look at the top of the corn to see if there's bugs in there. And if there were bugs, of course, we wouldn't buy that one. Looking back, I realize now that we should have bought those because those are the sweetest corn because the bugs were eating it. You never see bugs or worms in corn anymore. The reason is in most cases, it's been so genetically modified that if the bugs eat it, they die or it's been sprayed so much with chemicals. And the corn just doesn't taste like it used to. It's chewy, it's dry, it's just not the same as it was. But if you take genetically modified corn, they're loaded with sugar, and corn raises your blood sugar very quickly. And what that does is when the blood sugar raises quickly, the insulin is released from your pancreas, opens up the cells. Insulin is like a key. It tells the cells to open up and let in sugar. Well, if the cells are full of sugar, the sugar has to go back to your liver and be converted into something called glycogen. Glycogen is where we store energy. That's our reserve tank of fuel. Once all the glycogen stores are filled up, your body converts that glycogen into triglycerides, which then gets stored as fat. So that's what's happening is when you eat a lot of sugar, if you're not burning it off, which you're not even, if you're working really hard, working out hard, maybe you'll burn some of it off. But that's how sugar becomes fat. And if you're eating things like corn, it's high in fructose, like high fructose corn syrup. That's where that word comes from. And the fructose goes into the liver and has to be converted into glucose. And I'm going to throw a lot of chemistry out here. And in the process, your body produces uric acid. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. So if you have neck pain, back pain, finger problems, knee problems, of course, go see your chiropractor. It's probably a bone out of place, pinching a nerve. But you may notice after eating things like corn, it gets worse because the fructose converts into uric acid. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. Uric acid prevents you from producing nitric oxide, which opens up your blood vessels to your brain, your heart, your lungs, your happy organs. It's a family show. And so if you're eating a lot of corn and corn chips and high fructose corn syrup, not a good thing. Then we take this corn, which is bad anyway, and cause you to gain weight like crazy, and we fry it. And that turns into rancid oils or trans fatty acids, and they get into your body and they cause inflammation, which increases the pain as well. So I really want you to stay away from those fried corn chips. Please, 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 because there's nothing good about them except they do taste good. But that's not what we're here. We're here to get healthy. Pam, how can we make your day better?
Hi, Joe, Dr. Joe. My question is, again, with diabetes, we are always told no carbs, no carbs, no carbs.
Correct.
Watch your carbs. And then now I'm being told to eat carbs. And I was listening to your ice cream, which is really good. I love ice cream. I don't eat a lot of it, but
sure.
I would like to know what's a decent sweet treat for a diabetic to eat that's not full of sugar or corn, fructose, and all these different things that are not good for us.
Absolutely. Well, what we have to do is when you cut out the sugar, your brain kind of resets itself so you don't crave the sugars like you used to. Now, it may take several weeks for that to happen. So you may have to muscle through it, so to speak. As far as diabetics go, the key here is going to be fiber. Fiber is going to slowly push the food through your colon and give you a slow release of sugar. And that's what we're shooting for, okay? Oh, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, got a lot of background noise there. Okay, all right. Okay, I'll just keep talking here. Okay, so what's happening is you got to eat fiber, and that would be vegetables. Vegetables are going to push everything through. Chia seeds are great for everyone, including diabetics, because what happens, too, as we get older, our bowels don't work like we used to. We don't go to the bathroom 2 to 3 times a day like we're supposed to, so the food kind of sits in our colon, and that's not a good thing. So it's one of my tips I was going to give you later, but I have something called Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser. That's on my website, drjoeesposito.com, and that's great for keeping the bowels moving. Chia seeds are great, too. You can buy some chia seeds, C-H-I-A. I put it in, maybe I make a cup of tea, and I'll put some chia seeds in it, and then I'll cool it off, add a little more water. I sweeten it with stevia. So as a diabetic, stevia is going to be one of your good friends, and that makes a nice... Okay, and chia seeds with a little stevia and tea is going to be great. Let it sit for a few hours so the chia seeds kind of soak up the water, and that's a wonderful source of fiber to push everything through your colon. Fruit, if you're going to do fruit, maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 pieces a day maximum. Try to stay with the low-sugar fruits, maybe papaya, berries, avocado technically is a fruit. Try to stay away from those high-sugar fruits, watermelon, peaches, cherries. That's a lot of sugar, and that's going to convert into fat pretty quickly.
Okay.
And so once you cut out the sugar and give yourself a few weeks to reset your brain, you're going to find that you don't need these, quote, treats anymore. But if you need to sweeten something, I would recommend sweetening it with stevia.
I do, and I use that now. So
perfect.
And that's typically for my tea.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what I do, too.
I don't eat a lot of sweets, but I do have a sweet tooth for a cookie here or there or,
Well, if you do, you got to eat a ton of sugar. A ton of fiber. I'm sorry. Eat a ton of sugar. Yeah, don't quote me on that. Eat a ton of fiber.
Okay.
The fiber is going to push it through the colon, but that's not permission to eat sugar. But if you do mess up, either Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser, chia seeds, flax seeds, a lot of vegetables, get everything pushing through the colon. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
the call. And so that's a key, too, is I'm finding this out as people get older, that they have trouble losing weight. Well, yeah, hormones drop, testosterone levels drop, but what we want to do is keep those bowels moving. And so the chia seed trick is a real fun one, the intestinal cleanser, but vegetables are just going to be great. Celery, cucumbers, avocados, salad every day. And you're going to find once the body starts relieving itself 2 or 3 times a day, you're going to be thrilled because you're going to have more energy. Your stomach's going to flatten out. You're going to absorb nutrients more efficiently. You're going to slowly absorb the sugar. There's no downside to eating a higher fiber diet. It really isn't. And then you want to give the body the nutrients that it needs. That's why I use Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, in fact, sitting right in front of me right now, because they work so well. I created these for myself. And then my staff stole them from me, and then patients wanted to know what my staff was doing, and so now we actually manufacture them. But it's the minimum amount of nutrients that you need every single day. And if you want more information, I got to go to break. It's on my website, drjoeesposito.com. The intestinal cleanser, the Super Greens Essential Source, my books are there. Also, they're on Amazon, too. If you have an Amazon account, you go to Amazon. Hey, listen, if you have a healthcare question, I'm going to open up the lines, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. When we come back, we're going to tell you more about those foods you should, the worst foods you can eat if you're trying to lose weight, and actually for your health, too. My website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you could spend a little time with me today. This is the show that gives it to you straight when it comes to health. We want to teach you the things that you need to do to naturally get well and stay well, and that's why you need to tell your friends and family about this show. And by the way, we archive all our shows on my website. I think it's called a podcast now. No, archive's an old word. Podcasts are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. I also videotape all my live lectures, and I put them on the website as well because a lot of healthcare is physical, not chemical. So many times people come to me, and we have several offices, and patients come into my offices, and they say, Dr. Joe, I've done this and this and this. What can I take for? And they fill in a blank. And many times I do an evaluation. I say, your problem isn't only chemical, it's also physical. So what do I mean by that? You might have neck pain, back pain, headache, shoulder pain, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, diarrhea, constipation. Many times it's a physical problem. You might have a pinched nerve causing pain. Your stomach might be spasmed and pushed up into your diaphragm, which causes heartburn and acid reflux. And we have to physically pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, physically put the bones back in place. We get a lot of patients with foot problems, and it's a bone in the foot out of place. So people keep thinking, I have to treat everything chemically. I want you to shift your thinking. I want you to start thinking, perhaps I have a physical problem that needs to be physically treated. There's not a pill in the world that's going to put a bone back in place. That has to be done physically. So when you can get that idea in your brain that maybe I have something that would benefit from physical treatment, like chiropractic care, for example, then you start to many times open up your mind and say, oh, wow, that's why I haven't gotten well all these years. And that's why so many people are crazy about chiropractors. I mean, people start taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. It's so popular. It's crazy how happy people are with that product. And when they start taking it, because we're giving them the minimum amount of nutrients that they need, actually probably way more nutrients than they've ever gotten in their entire lives, little powders, a scoop of each, mix it with some coconut milk, shake it up and drink it. And now we get the physical and the chemical going, and then we fix the digestive, and now we have a healthcare plan. Most of you have health insurance, but don't have a healthcare plan. That's how I laugh about, politically. We keep talking about the healthcare bill, the healthcare bill. It's not a healthcare bill. It's an insurance bill. Has nothing to do with health care. Absolutely nothing except for paying for the health care. Health care is receiving the care. And so you need to take responsibility for your own health. Whatever comes out of this mess, it's not going to be in your benefit 100%. Promise you. You're going to have to take some responsibility for your health. And that's why we archive all the shows at drjoeesposito.com. Now, we're talking today about the worst foods you can eat if you're trying to lose weight. And we talked about ice cream, and we talked about corn chips, and corn in general, actually, because corn is where they get high fructose corn syrup from. As an Italian, I hate to say this one, pizza. Now, not all pizzas are made equally, but they're all pretty bad. Most of the commercially available pizzas and frozen pizzas on the market are full of artificial dough conditioners, and if you put an artificial dough conditioner in your body, it can affect your thyroid gland. Your thyroid gland uses iodine to absorb. Iodine is absorbed, and then it converts it into hormones or thyroid hormones. But if you have bromine, chlorine, fluorine, these are chemicals that look like iodine. They're called haloids, and they block up your iodine receptor site so you can't absorb it into your thyroid. Bromine is used as a dough conditioner. So you want to save some money and you want to have a quick meal. You grab a pizza out of the freezer and you throw it in there. It usually has some type of bromine in it. And that bromine can actually adversely affect your thyroid, which in turn can affect your body gaining weight. and your energy level and your metabolism. So be careful with chlorine, fluorine, and bromine. I'm not a fan of any one of those three. It's usually made from white flour, and it's been bleached, and that reacts in your body. It's just like eating sugar. It's just like eating tablespoons of sugar, and that can cause you to gain weight. It throws your blood sugar off. Now, contrary to what you may think about dairy products, dairy is not a health food. Most cheeses are high in saturated fats. They're heavily processed. So you can do, if you want to get crazy, you can do a cauliflower crust. Now, does it taste like Grandma Esposito's pizza? No, it doesn't. But you can do a cauliflower crust. Go online, look it up, and you can try that. It's not as good as the wheat crust, I'm going to be honest with you. But if you just have to get that pizza feeling. But I really want you to consider cutting out the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, the doughs, because when you cut that out, you now have the ability to start to lose weight. And it's also a sugar, which affects your hormones. So there's no good thing about eating breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas except one. And what is that? Well, it tastes good. Now, as a chiropractor, when patients come in my office, I want to give them the best chiropractic care that I think my doctors and I can offer them. But we also want to try to fix their diet so you don't fight us. People say, well, Doc, you talk a lot about nutrition. Yeah, because you have control of nutrition. I don't have control over what you're eating. I have control of what happens when you're in my offices, but I don't have control over you when you're not with me. So that's why I got to educate you. Does it stink that pizza's not good for you? Yeah, you notice all the things I'm talking about today are fun. They're fun foods. They're tasty foods. But that's why we have such an obesity epidemic in this country. Because even if it was 30 years ago, we didn't have these problems. People worked a lot harder and more physical, but we didn't have all the chemicals that we were adding to the food either. Let's go back to the callers. If you have a question, give me a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. That number, by the way, rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. Greg, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe, I got a question for you about corn chips.
Oh, yeah, back to them again.
What about the blue chips, the non-GMO, made with organic blue corn?
Nope. Organic is better. I'm not going to say it's worse. Organic is better, but it's still where we would get high fructose corn syrup from.
But if you look, I'm looking on the back of the thing, there's no high fructose corn syrup on here.
Well, high fructose corn syrup is processed out of the corn. It's already in the corn. It hasn't come out yet. Once it comes out, then it's high fructose corn syrup. So corn is naturally high in sugar is what I'm saying.
Right. Okay, so these chips are out of off the table too?
I mean, I hate to say it because I loved corn chips, and if you're going to do them, they have to be organic, but they're still fried. They still got the trans fats in there. It's just like eating sugar. So unfortunately, yeah.
What's the best corn chips to eat if you were going to eat corn chips?
Well, if you're going to eat corn chips, organic is the best. Baked organic is probably better still, but still, once you take corn or anything that's high in sugar and you heat it, like I was going to talk about French fries next, you create a chemical called acrylamides. And acrylamides are known carcinogens. You're eating something that really is pure sugar. At least if it's organic, you're not getting all the chemicals and hormones and whatever else they're throwing in there, and it's not genetically modified, but it's still not good. You know, if you have to eat chips, take slices of zucchini, and again, it's not as much fun. Coat it with some olive oil, maybe dip it in olive oil, put some salt and pepper on it, and bake it, flip it over after about 10 minutes, and you get little zucchini chips. Are they as good as corn chips? Absolutely not. But at least it's an option for you.
Right. Okay. And one other question about the pizza you were talking about just a second ago.
Yeah.
What if you do a pizza and like the way I eat my pizzas, I eat it. I don't put any cheese on it and I don't put any meat on it.
Okay, well, it's better, but it's still dough. You know, I mean, I don't eat cheese or meat either. I've been a vegan for over 30 years, but it's still the dough and it's still the sugar, and it's just like eating plain sugar. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. So,
right.
Yeah.
So the best, can you buy crusts that are already made that are no wheat on them?
No, they're all made with wheat. I mean, you can get a gluten-free one. That would be maybe a better choice if you had to pick something. A gluten-free crust might be better. It's not nearly as tasty, but kind of is what it is. You know, it stinks. So,
right.
All right, my friend, got to go to break. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Folks, if you have a question, give me a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, so glad you could be here with me. This is the show. We give you straight talk on health where you can naturally get well and stay well. Every time we get together, I give you a ton of tips that you can use to improve your life and your family and friends as well, to improve their lives. And somebody said to me years ago, I remember I had an IT guy working with me, and he said, I can't do it all. I said, okay, can you do something? He said, yeah. I said, okay, we'll do something then. He says, oh, I thought I had to do everything. I said, no, do something, and you'll realize how easy this lifestyle is. It's not hard. It's extremely easy. So if you want to get well, you have to have a normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. Those are the three things you have to have. And if you don't have those, nothing else is going to get you to optimum health. Those are the three core things that you have to have. And then you could add exercise, and you get meditation, and you can add rest, and you can add a social life, and you could add falling in love, and all that stuff is great. But the core is a nervous system, digestive system, and nutrition. So today we're talking about the worst foods you can eat if you're trying to lose weight. And one of the foods is, we said it before, French fries. Not only do French fries typically contain trans fats, which have been linked to a long list of diseases, they also contain something, as we said before, called acrylamide. Acrylamide is formed when white potatoes are heated at high temperatures, such as frying. And acrylamide can cause inflammation in your body and throw off what's called a pH balance, making your body more acidic. And when the body is more acidic, the body is set up for disease. Diseases love an acid environment. So if you're eating what I call the 7 deadly sins of nutrition, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, not a good thing, because those are the foods that are extremely acidic. French fries, of course, fit into multiple categories there. Sugar, but when they're heated, it creates the acrylamides. Most of the oils used for frying turn rancid in the presence of oxygen, of course, or at high temperatures. Yet another way these foods can cause inflammation in the body is because you're using what we call vegetable oils. And it's kind of funny because vegetable oils aren't made from vegetables. They're usually made from corn or soybean. And those aren't really vegetables. And those oils, or peanut oil, are high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, as a chiropractor, my job is to get you as healthy as I can and bring down the inflammation as quickly as possible. And if you're eating hydrogenated oils or vegetable oils, corn, soy, peanut, they're loaded with omega-6s, and that causes more inflammation in the body. So now you're fighting me. So you become my patient, and I want to get you well, and we offer you chiropractic care. We check your digestive system. If you have acid reflux and heartburn, we might be able to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. We get you on good supplements like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. And I do a whole nutrition workup on all my patients because I want to find out where their deficiencies are, and then I'll recommend other supplements. But Super Greens and Essential Source are the minimum. That's the starting point for everybody. And I get you on those, and most people are thrilled when they start taking it. But then I look at your diet, and I'm saying, well, listen, Bob, you're doing French fries every day. They're loaded with trans fats, omega-6 fatty acids, acrylamides. They break down into sugar. Sugar causes inflammation. You got to stop fighting me here. And most people do. Some don't, but most people do. And if we can cut out those inflammatory foods, you reduce your risk of things like heart disease, cancer, arthritis, and, of course, the topic today, weight gain. So not a good idea to be eating French fries. I'll go back to the calls. If you have a question, give us a call at 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE, and that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air.
Nice.
Joanna, you there, Joanna?
Hi.
Hi.
I am a pizza addict.
I know. So is everyone.
And I've heard people talk, this is new to me, cauliflower crust?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a healthy alternative.
It's an excellent alternative.
Really?
Yes. Now, don't go in there thinking, this is going to taste just like the pizza I'm used to. It's not. Okay? Now, I don't do egg. So as a vegan, the cauliflower crust doesn't come out as well because I use egg replacer and it doesn't work. But I know people that do use egg. Basically, it's cauliflower, and you squeeze it. What you could do is, if you wanted to get really crazy, is grate the cauliflower or chop it up in your food processor. And then if you cook it, squeeze it. Well, you don't even have to cook it. Just go online, actually, and just look up a recipe for cauliflower crust pizza. It's everywhere. And if you're going to use egg, though, and again, I don't, but if you're going to use egg, make sure it's an organic egg.
Right.
And that at least is going to kind of get you off the pizza addiction and get you into something a whole lot more healthy.
Yes, that's what I need, because I I could eat pizza every single day.
Sure.
And so I definitely need to break this addiction.
Well, you do, because as much as pizza's tasty, and I'm Italian, believe me, I love pizza, it's not good for you. And so you're really just killing yourself every time you're eating it. So you got to find something that'll kind of get you off your addiction, okay? I support that. Okay? Yes.
Yes. My cousin, do you have any advice for someone who just had a stroke and trying to prevent another stroke from happening?
Well, yeah.
With food?
Absolutely. You got to stay away from the big seven: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener.
Okay.
And being he or she has had the stroke, this is not optional anymore. It's not because the stroke, the brain is damaged, and if the stroke is on the right side, the damage is on the left side of the brain. And so we've got to get the foods that are going to increase circulation to the brain. The brain needs oxygen, stimulation, and nutrition in order to work.
Right.
And if you're doing you have control over the nutrition. So if you're putting bad food into your body, the brain is not going to get the oxygen or the nutrition.
Okay.
And so 2 of the 3 it's not going to get. It's not going to heal. Now, the good news is the brain has something called plasticity. The brain can rewire itself. And so after a stroke, you can rewire a lot of the damage.
Okay. How do you rewire it? That's great news.
Well,
she wants to know how to rewire it.
Change your diet, and then, of course, you have to stimulate the weak side. So if the stroke is on the right side, you got to start stimulating that right side, moving the arm, squeezing a ball. As a chiropractor, we treat a lot of stroke patients, and we work on getting like the damaged side, stimulating the opposite brain, and we can do that by adjusting the spine, mobilizing joints, giving you certain exercises that are unilateral on one side of the body. And the body, I've had a lot of stroke patients come back, and you'd never know they had a stroke.
Right.
Okay.
I've seen that too.
Yes. All right. Got to run. Got to go to break. Thanks so much. Folks, if you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, if you want to order Super Greens, Essential Source, my books, Eating Right for the Health of It, a Prescription for Extreme Health, watch videos, my podcast, all on the website, drjoeesposito.com. And by the way, the supplements, my books, and everything are also on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can go there and order them there as well. Hey, listen, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell your friends about the show, and don't go anywhere. I'm going to be right back. Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. This is the show where we teach you how to naturally get well and stay well. We give you straight talk on healthcare. And the reason I do the show is I want to give you tips that you can start using every single day to help get better. Now, it's not there's no destination when it comes to health. It's all the journey. And so you think, well, I'm going to eat better. I'm going to get chiropractic care. I'm going to get my stomach fixed. I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to get more sleep. I'm going to stop using perfumes and hairsprays and colognes that have toxic chemicals in them. This is what we try to do, is give you little tidbits. And each day you're going to say, I could do that. And you say, okay. And then the next week you say, well, I can do that. And then we start adding these things up, and now you have a health care plan. Joe Obamacare. Because the political bantering back and forth is not about health care. It's about insurance. Health care is you taking responsibility for your own health. And then if you need help from a doctor or a specialist, then you can go ahead and get that. So today we're talking about the worst foods you can eat if you want to lose weight. And I know you're going to get mad at me when I say all of these. Potato chips. Now, potato chips are very addicting, because it's the perfect storm. It's salt, it's sugar, the potato, it's fats, and when you eat it, it stimulates those pleasure centers in your brain, the nucleus accumbens, it starts dumping dopamine, and baby, you want more. And I do too. I'm no different than you. My brain works just like yours does. And so, the old phrase, you can't eat just one, is very true, and there's a reason for it. Because according to Health Canada, potato chips typically contain the highest levels of the toxic acrylamide of any food. We talked about acrylamide a little bit ago when we talked about French fries. When you heat a potato in hot oil, it creates acrylamides, which are known carcinogens. It is not a question. It's not one of those, well, I heard somewhere that potato chips are healthy or acrylamides are good for you. No. I don't think anyone in their right mind would argue the fact that acrylamides are good for you, or the fact that they are bad for you. And when you're eating potato chips and French fries, you are just killing yourself. So you got to stop. Now, I talked a little while ago, if you have to have something like a potato chip, take a zucchini, slice it real thin, lay it out, just to lay out the little rounds, coat it with olive oil, flip it over, just dip it in olive oil, put on some salt, pepper if you want to season it, and then bake it about 10 minutes, about 350, 400. Flip it over, bake it another 10 minutes, and you'll have zucchini chips. At least you're not going to get the acrylamides because the zucchini doesn't have all the sugars in it that'll create the acrylamides. So is it going to be as good as potato chips? No, it's not. It's not going to taste as good. And then you got those really good ones like salt and vinegar and barbecue. Yeah. But the potatoes are grown underground too. And again, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, we didn't have to talk about this. But when you constantly spraying plants with toxic chemicals, it builds up in the soil. So anything that grows underground has to be organic to help avoid those chemicals. Because otherwise, you're going to be absorbing those chemicals, and that's not good. So potatoes, carrots, onions, always organic. And don't do the potato chips, folks, because they're fried and they're just not good for you. And listen, I'm with you on this. They taste great. I love potato chips. And the reason why you can't eat just one. All right, let's go back to callers. We've got lots of callers today. Pam, how can we make your day better? Hello.
Hi, Dr. Joe. This is Pam.
Hi, Pam. This is Dr. Joe.
From Jonesboro. I was telling the young man I am an epileptic, but I've had my third vagal nerve stimulator implanted, which is working really good for me. I'm
excellent.
on one medication, Topomax.
Okay.
I want to know, what diet do you feel like is good for me as I go through this process of being a quote-unquote controlled epileptic with the vagal nerve stimulator?
Sure. A couple of things, and I'm going to give you some other advice you weren't expecting either. You got to stay away from anything that's going to affect the brain function. So those, again, are the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Those are the chemicals that are going to adversely affect brain function. You need to get the brain oxygen. You have to make sure you're breathing properly. Do you have any acid reflux or heartburn?
I do have been. I've been diagnosed with acid reflux.
Okay, you got to fix that. Because the diaphragm is a sheet of muscle. It's in the middle of your body, and it drops down and sucks oxygen into your lungs. And when you exhale, the diaphragm pushes up and pushes the oxygen out. The brain needs oxygen. And if your stomach is pushed up against your diaphragm, causing that acid reflux, the diaphragm is probably not dropping down properly. And so you're not getting enough oxygen for the brain, most likely. So we need to get the stomach massaged or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm, so that A, the acid reflux is resolved so you can digest your food more effectively, and B, so the diaphragm has more flexibility. So a lot of water is going to be important for you. Spicy foods will be good for you if you like spicy foods after you fix the hiatal hernia or the acid reflux, because spicy foods increase circulation to your brain. You can take other supplements that'll help circulation as well. But one of the things I want you to think about is, in every epileptic I've ever treated in my career, and I've been doing this for 32 years plus my college, is the top bone in the neck, called the atlas, is twisted out of place. And that's putting stress on the vagus nerve. So that's why we put a vagal nerve stimulator in you. So if you have a pinched nerve at that atlas area, you need to get that atlas put back in place to take the pressure off the nerves. And I've seen people, dogs too, epileptic dogs, when you adjust their neck, puts the bone back in place, and many times the epilepsy improves dramatically. So there may be a physical problem, Pam, making the problem worse. So just something to consider, okay? And, by the way, and no artificial sweetener. Ever, under any circumstances, no artificial sweetener. It's the worst thing you can do for an epileptic.
What type of sweetener if I desire to have some?
Stevia.
Oh, my gosh.
Stevia. Stevia is the one that's safe for you. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And no coffee, because I drink 1 cup of coffee every morning.
I wouldn't if I was an epileptic. No way, because it's going to adversely affect the brain.
Okay.
Okay? Let's give it a shot and see. And get that atlas checked out. I think you'll be real happy with those results.
Okay. Thank you, Dr.
Thanks
Joe.
so much. My pleasure. All right, folks. We're talking today about the foods that you want to cut out if you're trying to lose weight, the worst foods. But if you have calls, I'll take some callers. The number is 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. My website, we have a podcast there. You can get Super Greens, Essential Source. Send me questions through the website as well, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. You can get my supplements on Amazon as well. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. Glad you could be here. This is the show. We give you straight talk on health so that you can naturally get well and stay well. And we're talking about the worst foods you can eat to lose weight, but we got a lot of good questions here. So, Russ, how can we make your day better?
Hey, I was calling about dairy. I do real good about cutting all my dairy out. And I had a question about feta cheese made with sheep's or goat's milk. Is that still considered dairy?
Still dairy. It's a little better. I shouldn't say better. It's not as bad. How about that? Because and chances are they're not as toxic as the cow's milk is, but it's still hard to digest. We don't have the enzymes called renin to break down the casein, and there's a little chemistry there, but dairy products are the number one food allergen, so it's probably not a good choice. Now, there are, recently, in the past couple of years, a lot of plant-based cheeses out there. Now, are they as good as the dairy-based cheeses flavor-wise? No, they're not. But that's what I do. I do the non-dairy, the plant-based cheeses.
Okay, and I also had a question. I weaned myself off of salad dressing.
Good boy.
So I like to put banana peppers and olives in there to give it kind of a tang.
Sure, of course.
Is there a healthier choice between olives that are green, black, or the Kalamata olives?
No, they're all pretty good. Olives are really good. The downside is the salt, but the olives are great because they're loaded with good fats, and those good fats help you feel full, and they help your brain work better, and they help your immune system. So olives, coconuts, these are excellent sources of fat. So, no, you're doing all the right things there.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. Let's go through a few more questions here. Omar, how can we make your day better? Hello? Yes, go ahead, Omar.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Joe, hi, how are you?
I'm very good.
Yeah, long-time listener, third-time caller. I have a quick question. In my country, we use sesame to grind and then mix with the sugar and with the cooking oil. But here, it's different. So my mom said what you can buy a sesame seed and then you can mix it with stevia and just chew regularly. Is that okay?
Yeah, that would be fine. Sesame seeds are great. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, just straight down. I buy from a sprout sesame seed and then mix with a little bit stevia. That's I chew when I'm driving with Uber.
Perfect. Okay, what else?
That's it.
Okay, great. Thanks for the call. Do that. That's a great idea. Now, sesame seeds are great, folks. I use sesame seeds all the time. Now, if you chew them real well, you're going to get the nutrients out of them. If you don't, they're going to pass right through you. So that's something else that people think, well, I'm going to eat sesame seeds because they're loaded with nutrients, but you kind of got to chew them. But what I like to do is I like to put them on salads, and they just add a nice flavor, a nice crunch. If you want to toast them ever so slightly, the more you toast them, the more you destroy some of the good oils in there. They add a nice flavor. And in fact, I found out by accident one time, I had some bread, and it had sesame seeds on it. This is when I ate bread. And I toasted the bread, and I'm thinking, it tastes like bacon. So it turns out if you toast sesame seeds, it kind of tastes like bacon. Interesting twist there. And, of course, I'm not going to eat bacon. Faye, how can we make your day better?
I got a question about the potatoes. Bacon, and we slice them really, really thin. And put them on a baking pan that's been sprayed with olive oil.
Okay.
And bake them, and they come out good and crispy. Are the potatoes themselves not good for us?
Now, potatoes are still a lot of sugar. And when you heat the potatoes with the oils, it creates the acrylamides. Now, if you bake them, it's not going to get nearly to those temperatures that deep frying a potato chip would. So I'm not going to give you permission that it's good. It's just not as bad. And please do the organic potatoes. Can we do that, Faye? Can I negotiate with you on that one?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's a better choice. It's not a great choice.
The other thing, y'all talking about dairy. What about the goat's milk and goat's cheese?
Again, that's what he's asking about, the feta cheeses. It's not as bad because chances are the goat wasn't fed as bad food, but it's still not great. But because we don't have the enzymes to break down other animals' milk, we can't even digest human milk as we get older. Because when you're a baby, you have enzymes to break down milk, and we lose that as we get older. So it's probably a little better choice, but still wouldn't be my best choice. How about that?
So you said vegetable-based cheeses?
Yeah, they have plant-based cheeses, vegan cheeses.
Plant-based.
Yeah, they're okay. Like I said, I'm Italian, so it's not as good as the real stuff, and I haven't had cheese in over 30 years, real cheese. But it kind of...
What are they made out of?
Oh, they'll use tapioca, and they'll use, they'll color it with something called annatto, which is a yellow coloring. They're okay. They're not bad, but they're not great. So, being honest. Okay, Faye?
Okay.
Thanks so much for the call. And, folks, if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. So we're talking today about the worst foods you can eat if you're trying to lose weight, and let's go right into bacon. Sorry, bacon lovers. According to research journal Circulation, daily consumption of bacon and processed meats can increase the risk of heart disease by 42% and diabetes by 19%. Bacon is full of something called nitrites, and it's loaded with salt, and it's very acid-forming, extremely acid-forming. And when you put acid in your body has to neutralize the acid. And the body uses minerals like calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. So you're sucking minerals like calcium out of your body to neutralize the acids. So you're thinking to yourself, well, I want to eat alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. That's all well and good. If you want to, go ahead. But understand what's happening. See, what I try to do with this show and all my books and my articles, I try to educate you so you see that there is no other option. If you knew what I knew, you would do what I do. It's just that simple. You don't know what I know, but I'm trying to teach you that. And so make better choices. And what happens is with the nitrates become nitrites. And in bacon, we have nitrites. Nitrites, when they combine with amino acids, create something called nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are known carcinogens. So I have to pose the question to you, why would you put known carcinogens, these are things that can cause cancer, into your body? Knowing it. I don't understand it. It blows my mind. And yet people do it every day. And like if you take a hot dog, which has nitrates in it, just like bacon, and then you start to barbecue it or fry it, you get those grill marks on it. Those are called heterocyclic amines. And heterocyclic amines are another carcinogenic. So it just blows my mind that you would do things like that. And I don't want you to because I like you. I like you and I want you to be well. That's why I want to be your doctor. Whether you're an actual patient in our offices or if you're just a listener, if you're reading my books, I want to be your doctor. And I want to help you get well and stay well. So just be careful. You're still not convinced? Before you say yes to bacon, consider other health effects. A study at the University of Columbia found that eating bacon 14 times a month, which is about, every other day maybe, has linked to damaged lung function and significantly increased risk of lung disease. So if you have lung problems, folks, please don't eat bacon. Remember, no weight loss program should include weight loss that will cost your overall health. And that's a very profound statement. You want to lose weight, and in the meantime, you're killing yourself. So you'll die skinny. I don't want you to die skinny. Well, I do want you to die. Eventually you die, and I want you to be skinny, but not anytime soon. That's exactly what these high-protein diets do, particularly when they say eat bacon on a regular basis. So I would not recommend high-protein diet is not, we can talk about that, but not when it includes eating a lot of meats and bacons. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE. If you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, my books, those are all on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, and they're also on Amazon. So if you have an Amazon account, you can get Super Greens and Essential Source in your mouth in the next couple of days. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, I'm so glad you're here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito, and this is the show where we teach you how to naturally get well and stay well, because that's my little line there. Naturally, I want to get you well and keep you well. And there's a lot of things we teach you that you need to do or want to try do every single day. We want to give you the tools so that you can take control of your own health. And today we're talking about the worst foods you can eat if you're trying to lose weight. And right before we went on, I was talking to the boys in the room over there. We got Johnny here today. We got Josh. We got Ahmad. We got the whole gang here today. And they were mad at me because I started talking about bacon, how bad it is. Well, now you can be mad at me again because I'm going to talk about hot dogs. Uh-oh, they give me the look. My grandmother would call it the maluk, the Italian, the evil eye. So aside from what's in hot dogs, and we don't know what's in hot dogs, lips and udders, right? I've heard other phrases, though. Even 100% beef variety isn't good for you. A study out of University of Hawaii found that consumption of hot dogs and other processed meats increase your risk of pancreatic cancer by 67%. Now, those are good odds. Now, if I'm in Vegas and somebody gives me a 67% chance of winning, I'm going to take it. If somebody says you're going to increase your risk of pancreatic cancer by 67%, I'm going to take note of that and avoid those things. One of the ingredients found in both bacon and hot dogs is called sodium nitrite. This carcinogen has been linked to leukemia in children, brain tumors in infants. Other studies show that sodium nitrite also promotes colorectal cancer. So once again, I have to question why you would put something in your body that bad. Now, I was at a barbecue recently, and they were barbecuing hot dogs. So when they heated it and got those char marks, once again, just like bacon, we talked about this a little bit ago, you create heterocyclic amines and nitrates, become nitrosamines. Folks, please. There's so many other foods you can eat. At least avoid the ones that are really bad. Josh is giving me the look. Like bacon or hot dogs or processed meat, cold cuts. I don't get why you would want to put that in your body because the studies are there. It's not an argument. It's very clear that these things are bad for you. Now, if you have to have a hot dog, you can try veggie dogs. Are they good? They're not as good as the real thing. I'm being honest with you. I try to be honest with you all the time. But there's so many other foods you can eat. You don't have to put these things in your body because it's not just losing weight. It's losing your health, which I don't want you to do either. And that's why I try to give you some good advice there. Donut. Well, you know what? I got a lot to talk about as far as food goes. We're going to talk about donuts, sodas, diet sodas. But let's take some callers first because we got lots of callers. Robert, how can we make your day better?
Hello, Dr. Joe.
Hi there.
Hey, I just want to run this by you really quick. My daughter is 7 years old. She had a strep throat, and we took her to the doctor, and we noticed that it's causing her to have a little bit of sleep apnea.
Sure.
And she became like a mask breather. And so the pediatrician is recommending that we take her tonsils out. And then also the adenoids also. So I'm wondering if there's anything else we can do other than having her going through that surgery.
Sure. Well, I'm not a surgeon, so I can't tell you to have surgery or not have surgery, but I can tell you this. If she was my daughter, I would get her off all dairy products and all wheat. Now, when I say wheat, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, those are the top two foods that cause inflammation and allergic reactions. If you get her off those top two foods, give it 3 or 4 weeks. If she has acid reflux or heartburn or burping, her stomach might be pushed up against her diaphragm. When the stomach pushes up against the diaphragm or pushes through the diaphragm, that can prevent the diaphragm from dropping down properly, which can lead to things like sleep apnea. She can't sleep because she can't breathe. So I would check, if you get her off the wheat and the dairy products, chances are her sinuses are going to clear up tremendously, and that's going to allow her to start breathing through her nose. If she has the burping, the gas, the acid reflux, you may have to bring her into one of our offices. We have an office right near you. We can pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm and solve that. If we don't fix it, she can always have her tonsils removed. But I had my tonsils removed, and I wish I never had because you're removing one of your major immune organs. And I don't want to remove things I don't have to.
Okay.
Okay?
So for the meantime, I'm using Colloidal Silver, and also somebody recommended Killer Biotic. I don't know if those are good.
Well, the colloidal silver acts as a natural antibiotic, so that's probably okay for her. But again, we got to stop the cause of why her tonsils swollen. If we just take the tonsils, and I'm not saying don't have them taken out. I'm not a surgeon. I don't know if she needs it or not. But I always think if my tonsils are swollen, if I remove the tonsils, I didn't figure out why my tonsils were swollen. I just removed the symptom, never got to the cause. So I work very closely with surgeons, orthopedic, neurological, pediatric, and many times we work together and we say, what can we do to get this person better? Sometimes they need surgery, but I would try everything first before I had the tonsils taken out.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Do you know anything about Killer Biotic, though?
Kilobiotic?
Killer Biotic.
Killer Biotic. I don't know what that is. No, you got me on that one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much.
You.
See, every now and then I do get stumped, and he's stumped. I don't know what a Killer Biotic is. Rhonda, how can we make your day better?
Hi, Dr. Joe. I have a question, and it's off topic, but I've noticed within the past couple of weeks that my left hand, my fingertips are all pruning, like I've been in the water for extended periods of time.
Okay.
But my right hand is normal.
Okay.
Do you know if there's any kind of metabolic disorders or diseases or anything that could be associated with?
It could be a circulatory issue. Yeah, it sounds like it might be a circulatory issue. I would check the nerves in the neck because if the bones in the neck move out of place, they can pinch the nerves and the blood vessels. And if it's pinching down into that side, that could be an issue there. Now, do you have any pain or numbness or tingling in the neck or arm or hand?
I have chronic headaches with neck pain and shoulder tension across my shoulder blades. I'm a truck driver.
Okay, I used to be a truck driver. I totally get it, Rhonda. You want to get that fixed. If the neck pain, the shoulder pain is probably causing the pruning. Now, I don't know that for a fact, but chances are if you get the headaches and the neck pain resolved and the shoulder pain, the pruning should get good circulation. Hopefully that'll resolve as well.
Okay. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Yeah, we have a lot of truck drivers because I know, of course, the radio show goes all over the country. So we have a lot of truck drivers come in as patients, and they always go, "We park our big rigs by your offices?" I said, "Yes, you can." So that's always nice. We have lots of parking for you guys. Let's take another caller. What the heck? We got some more callers here. Teresa, how can we make your day better?
Yes. I'd like to ask a question about brown and white rice. Is brown better than white? White better than brown? If not both, should quinoa be the better choice between the two?
You just answered all my questions for me. Quinoa is a better choice than rice. Brown rice is better than white rice. But here's a little trick for you. I'm going to give you a little insider scoop here. If you cook the grain, the quinoa or the rice, and then cool it, and then eat it at room temperature or cooler, below 110 degrees, you create something called a resistant starch. Now, if I eat rice that's cooked, I'm going to absorb most of that sugar, and it's just like eating tablespoons of sugar. If I create a resistant starch by cooling it and eating it cold, you're only absorbing about 50% of the starch, and the ones that don't get absorbed create what's called a prebiotic, and they actually feed the bacteria in your colon. So it's still starchy and it's still sugary, but it's a lot better for you if you eat it cold or at room temperature.
The brown and white, or just the...
Well, the brown is better than the white. The quinoa is better than the brown. So white, take that off the list. So do the quinoa or the brown rice. But that's a little advanced nutrition trick for you, creating a resistant starch. So you can still have a little bit. Yeah, you can have a little bit of it and don't feel as guilty.
Okay.
There you go, Teresa.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So we're talking today about foods that you want to avoid if you're trying to lose weight, but I got to go to a break. If you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, that number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, those are the two supplements I think everybody should be taking every day. Those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. You can also get them on Amazon as well. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for being here. This is the show. We naturally get you well and keep you well because that's what we try to do. And, we archive all our shows on my website, drjoeesposito.com. So if you missed something, if you heard something you liked, you want to hear it again, forward it to your friends. We want to spread the word. This show is heard nationwide, heard coast to coast and around the world is the way I like to say it, because people listen all over the world. So if you listen around the world, welcome. Glad you could be here. And we're talking today about the foods you want to avoid if you're trying to lose weight. And one of the things, somebody sent me a message on Facebook, they said they take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, and it really helps curb their appetite. So if you don't know what those are, they're two supplements, and Essential Source is, one scoop is like 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables, prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin. It alkalizes your system, is a great source of iodine. Sugar's taken out of it, so it's safe for diabetics. So I take that at least once a day. Now, somebody sent me an email this week, and they said, Dr. Joe, it's not helping curb my appetite. So I said you can add 2 tablespoons of coconut oil to it, extra virgin coconut oil. And then if you need to, you could always add a plant-based protein, an organic plant-based protein, and make it a meal, basically. So you can use it as a meal replacement if you want to do it that way. But if you haven't tried the Super Greens and Essential Source, I'm going to strongly advise that you do. Relatively inexpensive for what you're getting. It's crazy amounts of nutrients. Really easy to take. Tastes great. I just shake it up with some coconut milk or almond milk. It's powders. And most people, once they start on it, love it. In fact, we've had several callers even for today's show saying, we're taking the Super Greens, the Essential Source. Just tell Dr. Joe we love it. Thank you so much. And make sure he keeps making it. So if you haven't done that yet, it's on my website, drjoeesposito.com. It's also available on Amazon. My books are available on the website and Amazon. Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser, which is good to keep the bowels moving. We talked about that a while ago. That's on the website as well. I want you to follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Again, we talked about everything being on Amazon, but we send out lots of good stuff on Instagram and Facebook. We don't bombard you with a bunch of stuff. And also go to my website and sign up for my newsletter. And I'm going to send you a link to a lecture that I did called So What Can I Eat? Because that's a big question everybody says, so what can I eat? And it's all there. But it's also in my books, too, Eating Right for the Health of It and Prescription for Extreme Health. Those are great books, by the way, if you haven't gotten copies of those, too. But again, the website's a great source of information, drjoeesposito.com. And if you want to send me questions, send them to me through the website, and I will answer them personally for you. So we're talking today about the worst foods you can eat if you're trying to lose weight. Donuts. I used to make the donuts. Little known fact there. Was it 14, I guess? Was it 14? I guess I was 14, yeah. And I was a porter originally in a donut shop. I used to clean the toilets and scrub the floors. And one day there was a baker there, and he didn't speak any English, and he was always teaching me how to make donuts. And I think he was from Yugoslavia. And he taught me how to make the donuts. And one time it was a real bad snowstorm, and I walked to the donut shop, and I got there, and one waitress made it. And this is in New Jersey. And nobody can get in. Everybody's snowed in. So the waitress looked at me. She goes, "You're making donuts?" I said, "Okay." And she said, "You old enough?" I said, "Yeah." I didn't know how old I had to be. And so I made the donuts, and they came at all weird shapes and odd. And anybody that came in is mostly people, cops and people plowing the streets. And if anybody made a comment about my ugly shaped donuts, she said, "Now you're buying double. Joe's here. He's making them. He came in the snow. You're buying twice as much now." And we sold out of donuts that day because of her. She was a tough one. Whatever happened to her? But anyway, donuts, not a good idea. Fresh donuts, you think maybe you're better than the prepackaged one, but most donuts about 30 to 40% trans fats, which is the worst kind of fat you can eat. Trans fats are links to obesity, heart disease, brain disorders, as well as cancer. And there's more sugar and artificial dough conditioners and food additives in donuts than a lot of other foods. So you got to be careful with that. Again, the dough additives, they use something called bromine. And bromine looks like iodine, so it can block up your iodine receptor sites and then have an adverse effect on your thyroid, kind of like with pizza dough. And as if that weren't bad enough, the average donut contains about 300 calories. So donuts, not a good thing. They're sugar, they're fried, it creates acrylamides, and then they put more sugar in it or on it. Folks, it's not a good thing, man, and I know I like my donuts too. But what will happen is, once you start making some of these changes, giving up the foods we talk about, you're going to notice an increase in energy. You're going to notice that your bowels are working better. Your love life is going to improve. You'll sleep better. And you're going to say, like most patients do to me, "Why didn't I do this sooner?" And I don't have that answer because you know, maybe you didn't know. Now you know. And just do what I say for 2 weeks. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So what? You ate well for 2 weeks. But if I'm right, which I am, then you can say, "I want to do this forever." And you really can't argue with most of the things we're talking about today because you know they're not good for you. You know, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, those are good for you. Donuts, not so much. Soda, a can of cola has about 10 teaspoons of sugar, 150 calories, 30 to 50 milligrams of caffeine, is loaded with artificial colors and carcinogenics. And that alone should make you rethink soda. But soda is extremely acidic. It takes over 30 cups of pH-balanced water to neutralize the acidity in one cola. So you have to drink 30 cups of more of an alkaline-type water to neutralize one can of soda. That's a lot of water. You're not going to drink 30 cups of water. I know you're not, especially if you're drinking soda. The acid residue can be extremely hard on the kidneys since the kidneys filter it all out. And additionally, the bones are being sucked dry of calcium, not totally dry, because you have to use calcium to neutralize the acid, calcium and other minerals. So if you're wasting all those nutrients, your body can't function normally. And of course, 10 teaspoons of sugar is a pretty serious culprit when it comes to weight gain. So in studies, soda is also linked to osteoporosis, obesity, tooth decay, heart disease. And if you're going to switch to diet soda, I wouldn't recommend that either because the artificial sweeteners, I consider the worst thing you can put in your body. They win the all-time award for the worst of the 7 deadly sins of nutrition. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Artificial sweetener wins. Now, if you have to have a soda, because one of my secretaries who started working with us recently, she goes, "I love the soda with the mountain on it." Keep it clean here. And I just love it. But I got her off the sodas, and she tried one the other day, and she said it was awful. I felt horrible, and it was only 2 weeks since I stopped drinking soda. I can see the changes already. Her skin cleared up. She lost some weight. She felt great. And if you're going to do a soda, there's soda sweetened with stevia. Now, stevia is a sweetener. It's about 300 times sweeter than sugar, 0 calories, 100% safe for diabetics, safe for children. I use it every day. And in fact, one of the things I do is I'll make a cup of tea, herbal tea, put some stevia in it, and then I add some chia seeds. soak the chia seeds in it. I put it in the summertime. I'll put it in a refrigerator, and I'll drink it as a nice, cool, refreshing drink. And the chia seeds really help get the digestive system working as well. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you missed an amazing show. But the good news is we're going to put it on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. If you want to get Dr. Joe's Super Greens, an essential source, which I think everyone should, do it for a month and see how you do. You'll be thrilled. Those are on the website, drjoeesposito.com. Also on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Hey, folks, if I don't say it enough, thank you so much for listening. I do appreciate all the kind words and the great emails. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time.